Hey there, lovely readers. I hope you are all enjoying this holiday season. While it can be pretty hectic and crazy out there with all of the holiday parties and shopping, I hope you're also taking some time to relax and enjoy your friends and family, and some good holiday classic movies and books. My husband and I just saw a live performance of Miracle on 34th Street at one of our local theaters. It was so good. It made me want to snuggle up in front of the TV and watch the classic movie with Maureen O'Hara and a young Natalie Wood. Remember that one? That is on my Christmas to-do list for sure. But one of my all-time favorite holiday stories is the Victorian tale A Christmas Carol, written in 1843 by Charles Dickens. Of course, you all know the story of Ebenezer Scrooge, Bob Cratchit, Tiny Tim, and the ghosts of Christmas past, present, and yet to come. But did you know that Dickens wrote the novel as a form of social protest? Well, he wrote many of his novels as a form of social protest. Dickens was deeply disturbed by the economic situation in Victorian England, and he himself was the victim of poverty as a child. His father, John Dickens, wasn't terribly good at managing money and ended up spending time in the Marshalsea debtors' prison in Southwark, London in 1824. His mother and younger siblings stayed with John at Marshalsea, but Charles, at 12 years old, was sent to live with a family friend. He was also forced to leave school so that he could work to help pay off the family's debts. He was employed at a blacking warehouse, pasting labels on pots of boot blacking. He worked 10 hours a day, making 6 shillings a week. The harsh working conditions and often strenuous labor made a lasting impression on the young Dickens and would later influence his fiction and essays. It was a pretty heavy responsibility for a child, don't you think? Dickens was no stranger to the haves and have-nots of Victorian England, being a have-not himself. He later used the experience and setting at Marshalsea for his novel Little Dorrit. I haven't read that book, but I did see the PBS television series starring Claire Foy as Little Dorrit, and it was fantastic. And somehow knowing Dickens' relationship with Marshalsea made the watching of Little Dorrit all the more fascinating. But back to Dickens and social protest with the creating of A Christmas Carol. According to an article I recently read on thoughtco.com, Dickens was enjoying a great deal of literary success in the United States and England with his serial release of The Old Curiosity Shop in 1841. In 1842, he took a much-anticipated trip to the U.S. However, he was a bit disappointed with the lack of manners he saw in the American people and was so offended by slavery he refused to venture into the southern part of the country. While in the northern United States, he paid particular attention to working conditions while visiting mills and factories, and he also visited several slums in New York. Upon his return to England, he began writing again, but despite his success in the previous year, Dickens found himself owing money to his publisher. His latest novel, Martin Chuzzlewit, was not selling well. In short, his career was in trouble. In 1843, Dickens and fellow novelist Benjamin Disraeli, who would later become the Prime Minister of England, both gave speeches at a benefit for Manchester Athenaeum discussing the plight of the poor of Victorian England. Following the speech, and disturbed by his concerns with the enormous gap between the rich and the poor of England, Dickens took a walk late into the night on the streets of Manchester. While ruminating on the subject of child labor, he came up with the idea for A Christmas Carol. He was so inspired by the idea of a miserly Ebenezer Scrooge being influenced by his past, present, and what would eventually become his future, he wrote the novel in 6 weeks while still writing installments for Martin Chuzzlewit. A Christmas Carol was released right before Christmas and became an immediate national sensation. British author William Makepeace Thackeray, best known for the novel Vanity Fair, called the work a national benefit to the people of England, and he also referred to it as a personal kindness. The story of the plight of the Cratchit family and Ebenezer Scrooge's enlightenment and eventual redemption touched readers deeply, and the Christmas holiday soon became seen as a time for charitable giving and family celebration. And it also helped to establish Christmas as a major holiday in Britain. Word of this cherished family classic spread, and to this day, A Christmas Carol has never gone out of print. It's a constant reminder to everyone in every and any holiday tradition to be kinder to one another, to help those in need, and to fully embrace the spirit of giving. What a tremendous legacy, right? Well, I hope you've enjoyed this historical tidbit on the holiday classic, A Christmas Carol, and I also hope that all of you have a wonderful, peaceful, and fulfilling holiday season. We'll see you next year.